Hey, welcome everybody. This is Tom Dermody, Mayor of the City of LaPorte, back for another AMA on this beautiful Tuesday. Ask Me Anything, and we are honored today to have U.S. Senator Todd Young here for a visit. I know you're busy for a few minutes, but welcome, Senator. Great to have you on board.
It's great to see you and great to hear you, and you look great, Mayor. I know you've been working very hard because we spoke on the phone. But it doesn't seem you don't seem to be any worse for the wear.
Well, because you can't see my gray because I'm not turned to the side.
That's true.
Hey, are you in DC now? Are things getting ready to start, or what's the plan?
I got back yesterday. I'd spent 6 weeks in Indiana, really working from my kitchen table most of the time, doing Zoom meetings like this and phone calls, and was able to actually connect with 22,000 Hoosiers over the course of the entire 6-week period. So it was very productive. It's nice to be back in the saddle and taking a look at some of the programs we passed and seeing if we can optimize them in any way.
Well, you really have had a focus on really helping business. And while I'm sure you can't help every business, and that's difficult, tell us a little bit about what's been happening and what you see business in this economy and how Washington can help and has helped.
Well, number one, what my objective is, informed by those 22,000 people that I was able to touch base with, is to try and do my part to make sure that people are made whole at a time when government has understandably told them they need to stay home or stay away from large gatherings, including at their place of work. So we need to make households whole and businesses whole. And of course, we need to staunch this wicked virus or figure out how to navigate it. And so that's what all of the programs that we passed have been focused on. My job has been, in addition to standing up those programs for small businesses and for households, making sure that people can navigate the programs, figure out how to get access to them, because the constellation of programs coming out of Washington can be confusing. So I feel like we've really been able to help folks along those lines in recent weeks.
What's the biggest voice you're hearing from business, their biggest concern? What are they telling you? What do they still need or asking for moving forward?
Well, over the last 6 weeks, it has been paycheck protection. It's been starting off, how do I get access to it? We spent a lot of time on that. And then as it was clear that this program was very popular, the question increasingly became, look, I can see the program's running out of money. Does Congress intend to replenish it? And what I heard from Hoosiers, their businesses and the workers was absolutely. You need to replenish it because this virus hadn't passed yet, and the need's still out there. So those are the two main things I heard about as it related to those programs. And increasingly, I'm getting requests about the stimulus payments and how people can access those. That's something you and I discussed, Tom. So I thought I'd maybe volunteer to the people of LaPorte that if they visit the IRS website, I'm going to give them the full web address here. And then I think, Tom, we'll go ahead and post it on your Facebook page as well. But the IRS website where you can get your payment is irs.gov/coronavirus/get-my-payment. So irs.gov/coronavirus/get-my-payment.
Perfect. And I know they've had questions. I know people have talked about that. Just as a reminder, not only are you doing policy, but you're kind of a leader in the states that have to say, hey, you know what, people, we're not over this yet. I constantly have to do it. When we loosen up the rules, that doesn't mean go crazy, take your family out shopping as the event of the weekend. We still got to be smart of that and reminding people that we're not out of the woods yet.
No, we're not. So we're going to have to do some workarounds. And I know that's difficult. Look, I mean, folks are feeling lonely and they desire human contact and they desire as quick as possible return to life as normal. And that's what we all want, right? But in the meantime, if you're used to getting a little exercise, you may have to You may have to try to go online and do an exercise video from the security of your own home. If you're comfortable going out in the yard, maybe do that. And as I've seen a lot of my neighbors doing, frankly, shoot some hoops with the kids. If you need groceries, make sure once you get there, you got one of these deals.
Yes.
They may not look pretty, but it's time for us all to do our part to keep our neighbors safe and secure. And I think we're getting closer and closer based on the governor's recommendations in terms of opening certain things up, and that encourages me.
Well, good, and that's we will get through this. We will get there, and it really is a balance of the economy as well as the health of our state, of our nation, and so that's a tough balance on your part as well.
Well, it is. It's a leadership challenge, I think, for all of us. Our mayors have done exceptional work. So, I mean, Tom, I know you've been putting in long hours and addressing a lot of local questions and trying to sharpen that pencil as it relates to some of your local concerns, your new budgetary needs that you didn't anticipate naturally until weeks ago. And so we're all having to wrestle with this. I think what's been most inspiring to me, and I know to you, Tom, I think we talked a bit about it, is just Hoosier's response. Where government doesn't need to play a role, neighbors can play a role and help out. And they're stepping up. They're reaching out to people in need. And it's clear we will get through this together. And I actually think we'll get through this stronger on the back end, even though some tough, times remain for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And, one thing we've heard and we've been promoting is infrastructure. And so I would see, you've heard President Trump talk about infrastructure. How do you see that moving forward? Do you see opportunities here for states and local units to get support federally? And let's start breaking some ground.
Well, I'm smiling because my number one infrastructure priority has long been the South Shore Line, right? And the Westlake Corridor up there. And we've got other important infrastructure projects and priorities around the state, rural broadband, and frankly, broadband, high-speed internet throughout the state is something that this crisis has really caused us to appreciate more. We need to lay more fiber out for telehealth purposes, for future educational opportunities, for teleworking. There's all kinds of applications. So we're learning a lot in the course of this, and one of those is the need to invest in our infrastructure. Look, interest rates are low. I expect they'll continue to be low after November as well. But in light of the low interest rate environment, and therefore the opportunity to borrow, there is conversation going on about big investments. Mostly on the Republican side right now, we want to make sure we implement these programs correctly, right? That we've already allocated money towards.
Sure.
Recognize we're spending a lot of money. We do have a lot of debt at the federal level. And so I think to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, we've got to be very careful as we move forward so that we're prepared to make those sorts of investments.
Well, that's fantastic. And just remember, the North-South Connector here in LaPorte, it's something that I think is going to be fantastic for Northern Indiana, and you'll hear more coming your way. And you've always been supportive of infrastructure, and we'll look forward to chatting down the road. But thank you for the support of all that you're doing on infrastructure and how important that is to our state and nation.
I'll continue to be a big supporter on that front. And I think, Tom, when you and I first met, it was one of the first meetings, you laid out a big map of that project for me. So your viewers, your constituents should know that you are a vigorous and strong and compelling advocate for your city.
Well, I know time-wise we're getting low. Tell me about what you see the new norm when you sit back, and whether it's as a senator, a family dad, family person, what do you see as the new norm moving forward?
I actually see communities a little bit closer, not just, in the midst of this coronavirus, but I do believe this will endure. This is one of those fulcrum moments in the life of a person. There aren't many like this, but the great lockdown of 2020 and this pandemic, with all of the challenges we're facing, people have come together. So I think that will endure. I think that will be part of the new norm. I think that will in turn inform our politics. I don't want to overstate it. We'll still have our principal disagreements, but I think people clearly want their elected representatives to get things done, like we ask our local officials, our mayors to do, right? Solve problems, stop just bickering. I think that our attentiveness to social isolation and loneliness is something that will endure. A lot of folks were lonely going into this. Now, after experiencing some loneliness themselves, people are probably more empathetic to the loneliness of others. And then the other thing that just immediately comes to mind is the ability to invest in ourselves on a number of fronts. But as it relates to this crisis, you look at the vaccines that are being developed, you look at all the innovation that's happening in life sciences, you look at how we've been able to leverage technologies like this one in order to work from home, receive medical care from home, learn from home. All of these things we can carry with us into the future and figure out how to make this mess of a situation into something that actually strengthens us collectively and individually, enriches our lives.
So, Senator, we've got a couple questions here. Number one, how do you feel about another round of direct economic payments?
Well, that's a general question. It could be direct payments to households or to businesses. That's something we're frankly assessing right now. I had mentioned the amount of money that we had spent. It's a whole lot of money. I don't regret it. The worst thing we could have done is been unresponsive or too timid in our response and seen businesses fail and households go bankrupt. We wanted to avoid that. We want to avoid it moving forward. So that's my threshold. Do whatever we can to avoid that predicament and then allow people to get back to work and actually start growing wealth again and paying for their own bills and doing all the things that people who enjoy the dignity of work want to do, right? So we're still assessing that. That's one of the reasons I think it's important that we return to Washington. And I hope the House of Representatives returns soon for the same reason.
I do too. Tell me. Okay, so even though MD is not after your name, any thoughts on herd immunity?
You know, I looked it up. I saw a short video. I've done a little reading on it, on the nature of the virus and so forth. And I know we're still learning a lot about this virus. I never try and pretend I do have an MD or a master of public health or anything like that. But I'm told that there will increasingly be more people immune as they're exposed to this disease. And the more people get immune, creates a condition, again, is my understanding, where sometimes that can block the transmission of the disease throughout the population. That's sort of generally what herd immunity refers to. So I've done my best to understand what it is. I can't predict whether we're headed towards it.
So one question comes up about the South Shore, and your feelings clearly haven't changed, even though they've lost 95% ridership and maybe almost 50% in the last 10 years, even before the virus hit. Does the COVID change your mindset on the South Shore? And by your answer earlier, I would say it does not.
No, I mean, I'm always open to more information. If people provided me information and indicate in the future that this would be a completely non-viable enterprise, then it would be irresponsible for me to plow forward. But I haven't been persuaded by such information. This remains a top priority. And this is, I know, a priority of my constituents, and I ultimately answer to them.
Well, and part of that is, we see the new normal, those individuals that are working in Chicago now, there's going to be a lot more remote working from home, working from somewhere, and we think LaPorte's a great place to do that from while they're working for companies in Chicago, not having to make that daily tour back and forth. And we see the new normal to be an opportunity for communities like ourselves.
Oh, I see it as a huge opportunity, especially in light of, and I don't say this in any kind of celebratory fashion, but the increasingly deteriorating finances of the state of Illinois, and more specifically, the city of Chicago. You're going to see people fleeing Chicago as a residence. You're going to see people fleeing the state of Illinois, and you've got fertile ground there in LaPorte, Indiana. I mean, that's a great place to live, great quality of life, and you're still within spitting distance of a large metropolitan area if for whatever reason you want to commute for various things, work or otherwise.
Absolutely. That's
you
why
can even root for the Bears if you like, but I'm a Colts guy. Yeah.
And that's what we keep telling Valparaiso. You won't say it. You don't have to say it, but I'm telling we're coming for all of them, and we're going to be aggressive, and we do think it's going to be a great place. I do have, and I know you're getting short here, but do you see the federal government watching this and putting potentially quarantines back on if a huge spike in positive and deaths happened?
I don't know. I can't. I don't have a crystal ball. It's an excellent question, so I don't want to be dismissive. But these are answers that, in recent weeks, have been answered by our executives, which is where legally the decision rests. But they've been answered in close consultation with public health authorities, and I sanction that kind of leadership right now. I think that's what needs to happen moving forward.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time. We've got more questions coming on, but I'll tell you what, you're busy. You got a lot of work to do. You've done a great job representing our state, and you're always welcome in LaPorte. Anything you want to leave our listeners with as we continue to move forward, loosen up the rules here, leading to July 4th?
Well, many of your residents have heard me say it, and you've heard other leaders say it, which is, we'll get through this, we'll get through it together, we'll get through it stronger. But the only thing I'd add to that is and I alluded to it earlier, is we've been asked to social distance, to shelter in place, and in the course of this national exercise, this very trying period, I think all of us have come to appreciate how much we really value one another, right? How much we appreciate one another, and how much we even love one another as fellow citizens, and not just people like us, people who are different than us, right? We enjoy those casual and unexpected public interactions, and I just can't wait until that resumes. And I believe that appreciation for one another is yet another thing that will carry with us into this. We'll be a stronger nation, a more perfect union, to put a finer point on it. And so everyone throughout the state of Indiana and around this country should take great pride in that and take heart in that.
Boy, that's a great message to end on. Senator, if people want to reach out to you, email you questions or thoughts, concerns, how best to contact your office?
Well, thank you for asking. Our website is young.senate.gov. And if they would like any information whatsoever about our federal response, some of the federal programs that we've been able to stand up to help rank and file Hoosiers out through this crisis, the Paycheck Protection Program and household payments, and how we're helping our frontline healthcare workers and so forth, we have a page dedicated just to that with specific information sheets. We are told they've been very helpful to people. So you go to young.senate.gov and click on the red coronavirus information banner, and it's all right there.
Senator, have a great day. Keep up the fantastic work. We'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot, Tom. All the best. Keep up your great work.
Thank you. So that was U.S. Senator Todd Young. Great to have him on, getting the updates from the federal government. We're having a few technical slowdowns, I think, right? Or no, are we good? So Dr. Leonard from LaPorte Hospital isn't going to be able to make it last minute. Looks like he's very busy, and we want him focused on everybody's health anyway. So everybody will be stuck with me for the remaining portion of time here. I did want to point out a couple things. Number one, shout out to Repo Arts. If you haven't seen their new mugs, LaPorte Proud, or their new LaPorte Proud t-shirts, they dropped some off here, and fantastic wear as we continue to come together as a community during this tough time. Reach out to Repo Arts, and you can call there at 219. I think I'll get you that number before because I just forgot it, or hopefully they can put it online here. But reach out in LaPorte, in Michigan City, Repo Arts, and unbelievable wear to show how proud you are to be in the community. As well, Governor Holcomb announced on Friday his plans to reopen the state. It will reopen in 5 stages, and we're currently in stage 2. If you have questions or would like to learn more, visit backontrack.in.gov. That's backontrack.in.gov. And free COVID-19 testing will begin tomorrow at 20 sites throughout the state. We're fortunate we have one at the Armory right here in LaPorte. You have to register at lhi.care/COVID testing. That's lhi.care/COVID testing. The testing is free and insurance is not required. However, if you do have private insurance, please bring that information with you. So make sure if you feel like you've got symptoms and you want to get tested, make sure you do that. As well, follow the Healthcare Foundation of LaPorte's website, hfoflaporte.com, and you can get the latest COVID information that's available. We're lucky to have Maria Fruth and the Healthcare Foundation team that have helped provide PPE throughout for all the nonprofits and those healthcare providers that are on the front lines. As well, it's National Teacher Appreciation Day, and just want to say thank you to all our incredible teachers in LaPorte. You know, they've continued to serve meals, the thousands and thousands of meals that they have served during this tough time, and thank you for all they do here in LaPorte and the surrounding area. We know this pandemic hasn't been easy on you, but they've adapted and made the most of a bad situation, and we're lucky to have you. As well, I'll see if we're taking any questions right now. Do we have any tests available for the antibodies yet? And I don't believe so, but we will keep you abreast as that comes to fruition. And we think Dr. Leonard will be able to be back on next Tuesday. As well, NIPSCO is participating in the Arbor Day Foundation's Energy Savings Tree Program. They're going to be giving away 325 free trees to residents in LaPorte. And you can sign up at energysavingtrees.arborday.org. Liz Kaminsky helps lead that, I think, as well. And sign up because they go very fast. And then with the extended executive order from the governor, the City of LaPorte's office will still, City Hall and all locations of the City of LaPorte will still be available via phone and via email through June 1st. Our goal is to allow you, the residents of LaPorte, not have to run here to pay bills, to answer or ask questions, but we're accessible now via phone, via email. We want you to be able to be at home, at work, and ask the questions that you need to and get those answered for you so you can focus on what's important. So with that, I don't know if we see a lot of questions here, but we're going to continue to keep you updated. If you do have questions, please message here online in the next couple of minutes. But one thing I do want to tell you about is this Friday, we'll have a very interesting show. Nick Minnick, our city engineer, will be on with myself, and we will be having an update on our 2020 paving program. You'll see exactly what roads are going to be paved, what roads have been paved, where we've been, where does the money come from. almost a Roads 101 program. So everybody's on the same page. And there are those residents that aren't going to be able to have their roads paved this year. Um, it's a process. It's a multi-year process. Nick Minnick has done a fantastic job to put a program in place year in and year out to make sure eventually over a few years that we will have all the roads in the city of LaPorte and sidewalks paved. So that will be on Friday. It'll be at a special time at noon this Friday where we will walk through the program and then take the questions that you might have regarding roads or why your road hasn't been paved or when is the next time it will be paved. So we're excited about that. But if you do have questions, we do have one. Do we have a test available for the antibodies yet? And again, no, we do not. But we're going to continue to work. We'll continue to update as those become available. But no, you can be tested at the Armory starting tomorrow, but you must sign up. Tom Polly, is the city going to follow the recovery plan set by the governor, or do you foresee additional local restrictions? We are following the state program. We think it's best to have one plan throughout. We stopped the retail responsibility executive order, a little disappointed in a few of the grocers that have had several complaints about. We need to keep control, and that's the reminder here. Everybody, we are not out of this. And if we don't want to go back and forth, let's do the things that are necessary. Social distancing, washing our hands, wear the masks. If you can't wear the mask for yourself, wear them for everybody else around you. And, you can go to the store, you can go do these things, but be smart, be responsible. The store wasn't meant for a family getaway. If you can limit yourself to one or two people to go to the grocery store, there's also curbside pickup, delivery through Instacart. They seem to be turning things pretty quick within a day or two. Limit the exposure as much as possible at the grocery store and use that time to go out, enjoy our parks. We have the best park system around. Walk the lakes, walk by yourself, and enjoy that quality time by yourself or with the family. So please keep coming. We're starting to get some questions here. Anything else that you have, again, you can always text me at 363-7293 and or follow the City of LaPorte Facebook page, as I probably get a smile from Jess Bruder as I say that, and our chief of staff, as also Tom Dermody, LaPorte Mayor Facebook page. So follow both of ours and make sure that you're keeping updated on everything's happened. The next question is, can you comment on your meeting with the local retailers and how they feel about the reopening plans? I think they are all ready. They're focused on opening, but they want to make sure they're doing it right and they're meeting the requirements. If you look at restaurants, they're going to require employees to wear masks, sanitizers, everything that is going to be necessary to keep clean and safe. And what I noticed is they took it very serious as well. Laying out people for hairstylists, barbershops, a lot of questions of how many people in the building at a time, can people stand and wait outside? I felt like they took it very serious. And while they're excited to get their business going, as anybody should, they want to make sure that they're following the appropriate rules and keeping their clients and our residents safe. So I thought that was it was a very good meeting. And I will tell you, we're fortunate in the business community to have an organization like LEAP, Bert Cook, the lead, the head of that, the president. You got Mike Riley, you've got Angela Rose, you've got Lindsey Johnkind. They're all available and accessible for those individuals, those business owners that have questions. So it's a great resource for everybody. With that, I think, is that about it? Again, I want to put out my cell, 363-7293. We will be here this Friday. Tune it in now because it should be a great show. Nick Minnick, our city engineer, will be walking through our paving program, what streets are being done this year, taking your questions on sidewalks, streets, everything. So it'll be 12 o'clock LaPorte time this Friday, and we'll look forward to see you then. In the meantime, be LaPorte proud and have a great night. Thank you.